In this video, we will explore how to use the REST API exposed by the Ollama server. By default, when you start Ollama, a server will run on the localhost address and listen on port 11434. This is not a secure connection, so you use the HTTP protocol. The path to the Ollama API endpoints are all prefixed with /API. The particular endpoint we will look at in this video is generate. So the full URL of the endpoint will be http://localhost:/11434/API/generate. Using the generate endpoint is very simple. You send a prompt to a specific model and then receive a response. You don't need a system prompt or any other kind of configuration. You don't even need an API key. The generate endpoint can generate completions, it can write summaries, and answer questions. The generate endpoint responds to post requests. Now the body of this request is going to be JSON, so set the content type header to application/JSON. Then insert a blank line, and after that comes the JSON data in the body. The JSON for the generate endpoint has two required keys, and the first one is the name of the model, such as Llama 3.2 or 5.4. The second required key is the prompt. For example, what is the capital of Kentucky, or compose a haiku about Visual Studio Code. There is a third optional key, stream. By default, the API will return a stream of JSON objects. This way, for long responses, you can display the response in chunks instead of waiting for the whole thing to be generated. For the REST client that I'm going to be using for this demo, that won't work too well. So therefore, I'm going to set the stream key to false, and Ollama will return the entire response once it is done. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more, click the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. To be notified of future videos, click the bell to know as soon as new videos are published. To use the generate endpoint, all you need is a tool or software library that can make HTTP requests, and this could be curl or Postman, or in the case of this demo, Visual Studio Code. Now, Visual Studio Code does not come with a REST client, but there are several extensions you can use to make HTTP requests to Ollama or any other REST API. So in the sidebar, click on the extensions icon to open the extensions panel, and then in the top of the search bar, search for REST client. And the one we're going to use here is this one by Mao. Now to use this REST client, what you need is a new file that has an HTTP extension. So I'll create one called ollama.http. And now you can configure an HTTP request to the Ollama REST API. Now each request in the file is separated by 3 hash marks, and you can put a comment on the same line if you want to. And then next we're going to begin the request. Now first is the HTTP method or verb to use, and again the generate endpoint is going to use a post request, and then following the method is going to be the endpoint itself. And again, this will be HTTP localhost port 11434/API/generate. On the next line is going to be the content type header, and notice that the extension gives you some IntelliSense here, and application JSON, then a blank line and the JSON body. Now, the first key is going to be model, and we're going to use Llama 3.2. And then for the prompt, which is the second key, we'll say write a, oops, that has to be in quotes, write a post for X about how awesome Visual Studio Code is. And then for the demo, I'm going to set the stream key to false so that we don't have to wait for the streaming response to finish. All right. If you look up here above the post method, you'll see this send request hyperlink, and if you click it, in a few seconds we should get back a response. And there we go. Everything worked, so that's why we have our status code of 200, and right down here is our response. So let's try something else. In the request, let's change the model to 5.4. Actually, that needs to be spelled correctly. 5.4. Well, 5.4. There we go. And let's click this send request hyperlink one more time. Now this one's going to take a little longer, and you may hear my GPU fan start as well, because it's a larger model. It's 14 billion parameters instead of 3 billion parameters. But notice that it came back with a completely different post. And that's all there is to using the Ollama REST API. In future videos, we'll see how to work with other endpoints and also how to write applications that consume the Ollama REST API. Thanks for watching.